Hey guys, it's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to today. We are going to sit down to film a very interesting video for you guys, okay? I was so amazed as a longtime Taylor Swift fan, Taylor Swift concert goer, when I sat down to research for this video from my past tickets, from my Ticketmaster, from online. And so I wanted to sit down and go through my ticket prices before eras. This does not include eras at all. This is from the Speak Now World Tour in 2011 all the way up to when I saw Taylor Swift at the Beacon Theater in New York City for her All Too Well short film, and she was talking for the Tribeca Film Festival. Let's get into it. This is going to be amazing. Okay. Okay, you guys. So back in the day of physical tickets, my very first Taylor Swift concert, I did not go to the Fearless tour, but this is my very first Taylor Swift concert ticket. My very first Taylor concert was at the Speak Now World Tour, Saturday, August 6th, 2011. I sat section 114, row 32, seat 5, and I got this ticket for $89.50 for lower bowl at the Speak Now World Tour. That is actually so crazy and so wild to me that Taylor Swift's huge tour at a stadium, $89.50. Now, I did not pay for this. My mom's dear friend actually gifted this ticket to me, and so that was very special. But it does say on here $89.50, and let me just tell you, this was the start of an age, okay? Moving on to the Red Tour, I saw Taylor Swift in Colonial Life Arena, Columbia, South Carolina, Saturday, March 23rd, 2013. I sat section 117, so lower bowl again, row 14, seat 15, and the ticket was $86.50. Here is the ticket. Can I tell you guys something so crazy? When I was holding that up, oh my God, this is actually so, okay, on the back it says, credit card processed through New Era tickets will appear on credit card statement, which I don't know, that's funny as hell. And then there's a little like code on the back, which this was 2013, so I can tell you now, is 8/17/206. I can tell you right after this concert, I walked out saying, okay, the next era is when I will meet Taylor Swift. I thought for some reason I was going to get Club Red this night. I had it in my heart, but it just wasn't my time. On the back of my ticket from that night where I said that to myself is 8/17, which is the day I met Taylor Swift at the 1989 World Tour. Wait, guys, I'm like, that's so crazy. So this ticket was purchased through her pre-sale. It says on there Taylor Swift Fan Club, so you can see on there that it was purchased during her pre-sale. So then I also saw Taylor at the Red Tour as well, and we saw her in DC on May 11th, 2013. We sat section 418, row G, seat 2, and let's see, that ticket was $94.50. Okay, so that's very interesting. So the ticket from the Red Tour for lower bowl in Columbia, South Carolina was $86.50, and then at the Red Tour, sitting higher up, I didn't care, I was there, I didn't give a hoot where I sat, and I still stand by that for Taylor concerts, was, what did I say, $94.50. $94.50, that is actually so wild. And it does look like it was purchased during pre-sale because it has BTSFT, which I'm thinking is like fan something. Yeah. But this one I printed out from online, so it wasn't mailed to me like this ticket was, but we printed it like off Ticketmaster and brought it. So that's why it looks like this, but that's so freaking crazy. Verizon Center, Washington, D.C. That is $94.50. Still under $100. Moving on to the 1989 World Tour. I got to see Taylor and meet Taylor during this tour, which is so incredibly special to me. So I went with my mom to the DC show at Nationals Park. We sat section 126, row G, seat 6. It was my ticket. And it was Monday, July 13th. This is what the ticket looked like. This was when you started to like print them and like scan them like this. Of course, now they're all digital, but back in the day, let's see, the ticket price was $134.50. $134.50. That is so crazy. This is the first ticket that was over $100, and $134.50 is a steal. Okay? My very prized ticket. Okay. My 5th time seeing Taylor Swift, I got to meet her. This was the ticket that was purchased that I got to meet her. I sat section 102, row H, seat 4 at the Gila River Arena in Glendale, Arizona for the 1989 World Tour, but I also met Taylor Swift for $0.00 because if you guys don't know, I was one of the Swiftmas girls back in 2014. Taylor sent Christmas presents to me, and she requested to meet me this night, and best night ever. I will never be over it. This ticket, and it was very, very close to the stage. It was not like on the back side of the lower bowl. It was right by the stage. August 17th, 2015. This ticket was $295.50. And I went with my dad, but this ticket was $295.50. It looks like we purchased it on, I know it was during the fan club, November 7th. There's a November 7th on here, and I'm guessing maybe that's when that makes sense because that was like, what, 2 weeks-ish after 1989 came out, so that sounds about right. But isn't that so crazy? $295.50. And that's still, like, relatively speaking, for a concert ticket and for Taylor Swift, fair. Okay. The next time that I saw Taylor was at the Circuit of America's F1 car race. She was the performer, and I said to my dad, I said, "Hey Dad, you love cars, right?" And he said, "Yeah, of course." Why? I will never forget it. We were coming back from high school. He had just picked me up and we were going home. And that's exactly how I brought it up to him. Like, if I turned the camera on and said, "How did I bring that up to you?" he would mimic exactly that. And I said, "Well, Taylor Swift's doing Circuit of America's." So there was a regular ticket that you could get, and I believe, don't quote me on it, that was $75. But for Taylor, there was a GA pit upgrade. So it got you in the general admission pit instead of like behind. And that was $150. This is the ticket. It was sent to us. And then also, this is the wristband. We had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday general admission, but we only stayed for Taylor, which was Saturday night. But this was, I had to cut it off. But this was the general admission band. And then it doesn't say the price on here, but I did look it up, and it was $150. Which I found very interesting. That was the pit upgrade, and when we got to Circuit of Americas, we had to go get our wristbands from the box office. But this was the ticket. Upon my research, like I said, it was $150. And I stayed outside all day. By the time the concert happened, I was as red as my shirt. But we got like second row from the barricade, and then there was a VIP GA in front of us, from like Taylor Nation people who had gotten invited, and people like that. And there were not many people in there at all. Like, it was not crammed to like our gate. There was just like a couple people in there. So we ultimately were like third, fourth row from the stage. Okay. Unforgettable experience. Like, that day was so crazy. Camping out in the Texas heat and then being led by, like, there was a rope in front of us and we were like walking very like, oh my God, it was like a herd. And my dad got the name Super Dad for a reason. Like, his name in my phone is still Super Dad. He was like, he had a hold of my hand. I had a hold of somebody else. And then he had one of my other friends on the other side of him. And like one of their moms was behind her. So we were all like linked together, because when I tell you we were packed, like it was a herd, you guys. It was absolutely crazy. Okay. But he got a badge that day for sure, and a name that stuck forever, because everybody was like calling him like Super Dad and everything when we got to our spot and we stayed there. We took this picture. I'll put it, it's like one of my favorite Taylor pictures ever, and actually one of my favorite pictures ever. It was so cute. But this was when we all like finally got to our spot after being herded in. So we had like a waiting area, and then they opened the gate, and then they were led like by a rope, but people were trying to run. It was a whole mess. Yeah. So anyways, the next time I saw Taylor was at Jingle Bash Chicago, and it was right after Reputation was released. It was December 7th, 2017. And I purchased these tickets, and they were on the side of the stage where we could see backstage, which was really cool. Both times that I have gone to a Christmas Jingle Bash, Jingle Ball event, I've sat side stage, and I loved it, okay? Because you could see the background dancers, you could see the backup singers, you could see everybody dancing. I love sitting the seat. Like, it does not bother me whatsoever. Honestly, if I'm just in the venue, I'm chill, I'm good. But we sat section 209, row A, so we were the first row of that section, seat 3, and of course I brought my dad with me, and the price was $90. So I saw so many amazing artists that night. I saw the Backstreet Boys, I saw Sabrina Carpenter, I saw Taylor, Khalid, I believe, and there were a couple others that I'm drawing a blank on right now, but that was so much fun, and I love those events. And $90 was so much fun, okay? That was at Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois, which is like on the outskirts of Chicago. Okay. Next up, we have the Reputation Stadium Tour, and all my tickets, except one of them, look like this. Because I printed them out, and I cut them and put them in my Taylor memory box. And I need to do the same thing for Eras, but I have a whole memory box of like light up bracelets and everything. And so I cut the email out that was like, you got them. And then it said view tickets. And then I printed it and I cut it. They're not even laminated. They are surrounded by tape, so you can tell how long ago this was. So I had to dig back through my emails, but Reputation Glendale section, which was opening night, and we had aisle seats. Usually aisle seats are a little more expensive, but we were right by the stage. We could see everything. It was a full view. Section 104, row 37, seat 1 and 2. My dad and I sat there. It was May 8th, 2018, and the ticket was $137.50 each. So, of course, I went with my dad. And $137.50, which for Taylor's opening night, I can tell you in that same stadium, that same exact stadium for Eras, night 2, I sat $150, Glendale night 2 of Eras in the nosebleeds. And it was a great view, but it was still more than what I sat lower bowl for Reputation in the same stadium. Next up, we have DC Night 1 for Reputation. I almost dropped on my little slips. We sat section 41, which was like right in front of the 100s. It was the first row of the lower bowl. And it was seat 15 and 16, July 10th, 2018. And this is the only one that I could not find a ticket price for. I could not find it. I could not even, like, I looked it up. I looked it up on Reddit. I looked it up, like, in general online. I could not find, like, a seating map, seating chart, anything that would show me. But based on my research, it looks like it was somewhere in between $150 to $160, somewhere in that range. Like I said, I scoured my emails. I could not find it. I even asked, like, Natalie, hey, I know you were there. What kind of price did you pay? And then I asked Emma. And then that's kind of how I based my assumption, and then based on that section. And it was row 1. So we were right in between the main stage, and we were in between that, and we were in between the first B stage. So we had a great view. So yeah, that is only one that I had to guess on. The next one is the first time that I ever sat floor for a Taylor Swift concert, and I was so excited. So I actually won a Ticketmaster contest a really long time ago in 2018, and I was able to purchase night 2 tickets because my dad and I were originally just going to go night 1, and then I was like, hey, do you want to stay for night 2? And we ended up getting, I ended up being able to buy floor seats with the thanks of Ticketmaster. They did one thing right. But I was able to buy tickets on the floor right by the B stage for my dad and I. We get there. We have to go to the box office because guess what? Our seats don't exist, okay? I am freaking out because these were the tickets that I was, like, anticipating so much because I had never sat floor at a Taylor concert, and it was right by the B stage, and I bought them intentionally right by the B stage, and I was so excited to sit in that seat. Then we went to the box office, and Emma actually was hanging out with us, and she, like, went to the box office with us, and so she was a couple rows back from us, and so her seat didn't exist either. And so ultimately, they gave us 3 seats in a row, and I was able to sit with Emma. So that was really, really awesome. And so it was my dad, Emma, and I, and it was so, and they were such good seats. Those seats were matched to the same amount that I bought mine for, and that was $269.50, which is so interesting because my 1989 World Tour Glendale tickets, the same night that I met Taylor, those tickets again were $295.50. So it was cheaper to sit floor Reputation in a stadium at FedEx Field than it was lower bowl in Glendale, Arizona for 1989. So it's just very interesting to see the change and how everything changes. But this is that ticket. This is my only physical Reputation ticket that I have. And you can see the $269.50 up there. And so this is what they gave us at the box office. And we were section B1, row 9, seat 1, 2, and 3. Next up, we have Lincoln Financial Field for Reputation Stadium Tour. It was my dad, my mom, Bobby, and I. And then Natalie actually bought the seat right next to me. So we were all together, which was so much fun. We sat section 119, row 16, seats 10 through 13. And then if we go back to Speak Now, I sat section 114, row 32, seat 5. Speak Now was $89.50. And then as per my emails, because I went back through, each ticket for Reputation Philly in section 119, row 16 was $199. So it went up by about $90-ish between Speak Now and Reputation in the same stadium. But granted, we sat closer to the stage and we also sat lower to the floor. So yeah, dug through my emails and it was $199 per ticket. Next up, I took my first solo trip across the country to see Taylor Swift, okay? I was 18 and I said, this is what I want to do. It was me and Natalie's birthday weekend and it was closing weekend of the Reputation Stadium tour. And so I have a job, I'm making money, I'm gonna do this. And so I bought, listen, first of all, Natalie and I first bought Arlington Night 2 tickets, which was the closing night of the Reputation Stadium tour in America. Okay, so we started off by buying night 2. However, I was flying in on Friday and so was Natalie, and we were like, you know what? We're already here. We're gonna go to night 1 also. Because why wouldn't we? I just want to say also that people have been going to multiple shows for multiple eras, multiple tours, and this is not a new thing that started with eras. It was more escalated because of eras. It became more of a discussion because of eras, but it did not start with eras. Eras was way more high demand, but people did it for Reputation. I know I did. I have done it actually since Red. So, you know, if you seek enjoyment out of something, don't let people tell you how you should manage your money. If you can afford it and you know what you're doing and you're comfortable with it, then you do you, okay? Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So anyways, Natalie and I bought the back of floor for Reputation Stadium tour, and that's because we wanted to be close to the B stages, and we also wanted to be close to potentially get Barricade. When Taylor walked from the first B stage to the second, she did a B stage Barricade walk. And I'm happy to say that agenda worked, okay? Taylor saw me that night at Barricade, and those were the days of her being on Tumblr, so she was very much recognizing people, and it was very, very special. And so Taylor did see me that night at Barricade and grabbed my hand, and her turning around and her dropping her jaw was worth every single penny that I paid. So we sat section L, row 20. This ticket, as per my email, $198, and that is with everything included, fees, everything. So this ticket was $198 at AT&T Stadium, October 5th, 2018, second to the last night of the closing of the US leg of Reputation. The next night, my 13th Taylor show, we bought nosebleeds, okay? We bought nosebleeds, and our friends ended up inviting us down onto the floor to be with them. They had extra tickets because a couple other people got upgraded, so they ended up being like, hey, they texted Natalie. I remember they texted Natalie, or like, come down. And so they sent us the tickets, and we ended up being able to get on the floor by the B stage with all our friends, which was so much fun. And those were the days you could just like crowd around. Like, we stood around like the B stage area with all our friends and everything, and it was just so wholesome, and we were all doing like the choreography and everything. But those were the days where ticket upgrades, Taylor Nation was constantly upgrading people. This was a wild night, okay? And we're gonna continue. I'm gonna tell you this story. But our nosebleeds that we bought, that I have a price for, was $49.50. $49.50 for closing night of the Reputation Stadium tour, full view, up in the nosebleeds. So when we got down on the floor, of course, like I said, we stood by the first B stage with all our friends, and I was second row from the Barricade at the B stage. And a lot of the times at the Reputation Stadium tour, people would, like, you know, when Taylor was moving around from B stage to B stage, we could also. So I remember when Taylor was singing All Too Well that night, so she did Dancing with Her Hands Tied, and guys, she sang it right in front of my face. And then during All Too Well, which was the surprise song for that night, Natalie and I ran to the second B stage. Well, we were standing right by the second B stage. This is crazy. And I was watching Taylor sing Dress, and like it was just so magical. I was so in the moment, and I hear out of the corner, because there were so many people that crowded around. I hear out of like the corner of my eye, Rachel. And I'm like, what the heck is happening? And it was Natalie. And so I looked, and there was this gate, and she's with somebody from Taylor Nation. And she was like, you gotta come with me. I came back, and I just met Andrea, and she wants us to be in the pit. And I'm like, what? Because I had never been, like, in the Reputation pit. Like, I was like, what are you talking about? And so somebody from Taylor Nation came up to Natalie by order of Mama Swift. Like, Natalie met Mama Swift, and she was like, hey, how would you like to go to the pit? And Natalie was like, my friend is with me, like I can't, and so she came back to get me, which was so sweet. And we ended up in the pit during, this is why we can't have nice things, we were never ever getting back together. Actually, I think we got there, so we were there from the time that Taylor flew back over, so which would have been like Long Live New Year's Day, because I have videos of me and Natalie crying because we were realizing that was the last time we were ever seeing the Reputation Stadium tour. And so we got to experience the last portion of the show, like getaway car and everything from the pit. And that pit was so tall, but $49.50. And thank you to my friends who got upgraded in the very, very beginning while they were, once we had just been let in. Natalie and I were sitting at our nosebleed seats, and they were like, come down. And we said, okay, where are you guys at so we can meet up with you, whatever. So that was a very exciting night. Okay. Then this brings me to my 14th time ever seeing Taylor, and that was at Jingle Ball on Taylor's 30th birthday in New York City, Madison Square Garden. It had been a bucket list item of mine to go to New York City, and I said to my best friend Bobby, hey girlie, do you want to go? And she said, hey girl, yes. Like, birds of a feather flock together. And so Bobby and I, as soon as we saw the lineup and that Taylor was going, we were like, yes, let's do it. It was on her birthday. I had always wanted to go to New York City, so this was a dream for me. And we bought the cheapest tickets, and it was a no view. It says it on here, no view with exclamation points, but I did not care because we got the coolest seats because, again, we could see backstage. I saw Lizzo fall that night. I did. I saw Lizzo fall. But I got to see all the artists come on stage. It was so freaking cool. And like Taylor's like background dancers and everybody jumping around before. It was a blast. We got to sing happy birthday to Taylor. And I had never stepped foot in Madison Square Garden until this moment. And this ticket was $52. $52, which is not bad. And it was section 215P. And we had like a phone in front of us, like a office phone, like hello. Which was very, very interesting. But we did get a physical ticket for this one. And I thought that was hilarious. Like, there was a literal phone. Like, there was a desk in front of us. And it was so nice because we could just put our bags down. And we didn't have to, like, put them down and we'll go like, oh my God, where's my bag? The whole 9 yards. So that was perfect. And we saw so many amazing artists. We saw Taylor. She was the first one. Then we saw the Jonas Brothers. We saw Lizzo, Halsey, Niall Horan. Who else did we see? Like Monsta X, like Dan and Shay. There were the lineup was incredible. Let me underline that. Like, Bobby and I still say, thank God that we did that, because that was right before the world shut down. Right before the world shut down. Like, do you have 30 minutes before you're inside for the, for 2020? So we still say, thank God we did that. I did want to say, I wanted to tell you guys my Lover Fest East at Gillette Stadium price, okay? So Taylor for Lover was going to do Loverfest, where she wanted to have Loverfest with her friends and perform these songs at sunset. Obviously that did not happen because it was supposed to take place in the summer of 2020 in July. And as we know, the world shut down because of the pandemic called COVID. It got postponed and then it got inevitably canceled. But my mom and I were going to road trip up to Gillette Stadium. We had floor seats and I paid $552.27. Now, Loverfest was the hardest battle pre-eras before that I had ever had a struggle getting Taylor tickets. I tried everything. There's a video on YouTube of me trying to get Loverfest tickets, and boy was it a mess. I tried the fan club pre-sale, or you know, Taylor's fan pre-sale. I tried Capital One. I think there was another one that I'm forgetting. There were like 3 pre-sales and then it was a general sale. And by the time I got in for general sale, that was the price that was left. And it was my biggest purchase to date. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I spend over $1,000 for my mom and I? Yes. But did I regret it? No. Like, I was so excited. I didn't care we were going. I had saved up. That's the thing. I will always be saving up for Taylor. Regardless if she's quiet or not. I know she'll be back. She's just taking her break right now, but I do save for her, so I knew that I could do it and I did it. And ultimately got refunded, and but that was my Loverfest price, the show that never happened. But I did want to tell you guys the price. So the very last time that I saw Taylor before Eras Tour was at the Tribeca Film Festival at the Beacon Theater in New York City. And oh my God, I cannot believe I got my ass in there. It was Emma's birthday weekend and Emma was turning 21. And this was perfect because there's a line in All Too Well, 10-minute version that said, and it's supposed to be fun turning 21. And we didn't know it, but Taylor did a surprise performance, and so we got to sing that. But we were in the Beacon Theater, and that is a small theater. I ended up getting, I think, what happened? I'm trying to remember. This ticket from my email was $63, and I also paid for Emma's ticket because it was her birthday weekend. $126 total. We were going to go to Maren Morris. We had tickets for Maren Morris, and I remember I called Emma and I was like, you're not going to believe this. I just got us Tribeca Film Festival tickets. Like, we knew it was happening. And we were like, what? She was in the car with her dad. She's like, there's no way. Rachel just got us tickets to Tribeca Film Festival to see Taylor. And that was just so unforgettable. Like, that was the first time Emma and I had ever, like, we had, of course, seen Taylor together. We had hung out, but that was our first, like, trip together. And it was so incredibly special. We went to the M&M store, and we just had so fucking much fun. And we got to see Taylor talk about All Too Well, and we got to see Taylor in a different light. We got to see director Taylor Swift. We got to see her walk in. Oh my God, like, it was just such a different experience than, like, a show or, like, a set at Jingle Bash. Like, it was so freaking awesome to see Taylor in that light, and, like, just talk about things that she loves, like, in person, and then play the song that she created this art for in the short film. So that was a blast. But I think I got my hands on those because my friend got a code and she had already used it. And it was, like, very exclusive. It was, like, this Tribeca Film Storytellers, and I think it was, like, through a newsletter. I don't know how I got them, but I remember I tried the code. She's like, hey, you can try this. And I got 2 tickets, and I said, I'm buying them. It was crazy. But yeah, you guys, so I saw Taylor 15 times before Eras, spanning from the Speak Now World Tour to her Tribeca Film Festival debut. From 2011 to 2022, I saw Taylor Swift a total of 15 times, excluding Loverfest RIP. I saw Taylor for $2,069, spanning from 2011 to 2022, and I am so incredibly grateful that those memories exist, and I'm so incredibly grateful for my parents. I'm so incredibly grateful for everything that had to do with those experiences happening, and that is with a $0 free meet and greet with Miss Taylor Allison Swift at the 1989 World Tour. So, and all I can say is the cost on those memories, priceless. I would never trade them for anything in the world, but I thought it was very, very interesting to go through this and tell you guys what I spent. I just thought it was very interesting what the ticket prices were pre-eras, and depending on if it was a stadium, arena, it always fluctuated, and it's just very, very interesting. But yeah, you guys, that is what 15 shows, 15 Taylor events, concerts, Jingle Ball, Jingle Bash, Formula One car race, Beacon Theater, where she talked about the All Too Well short film. Again, those memories are priceless to me. I just thought it was very interesting to go through and see what the prices were of the ticket. And yeah, anyways, I'm so grateful. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video entertained you, and I hope to see you, yes, you, in the next one. Bye, guys.